Good evening, everybody. Well, tonight we're going to take a look at parallel and perpendicular lines. Please make sure you get your notebook out. We're pausing the video and we'll just go through a couple of examples. So let's get started. Okay, so here you can see we have two sets of lines. We have set A and set B. And really what I just want you to take a look at here is set A, the lines are parallel. What could we say about their slopes then? If we take a look at from here to here and here to here, what can we say about parallel lines and their slopes? Well, hopefully you'll recognize that the slopes of parallel lines are equal. So if I want to discover or to find out whether this line is parallel to this line, I have to check to see if this slope is equal to this slope. And visually we can obviously see that in this group B that these two lines are not parallel, but if we want to prove it mathematically, we would find the slope of this line, find the slope of this line, and we would prove that the two slopes are not equal. So if two lines have the same slope, then the lines are parallel. If two lines do not have the same slope, then they are not parallel. Now, one last caveat to that, y equals mx plus b. If they have the same slope and the same y-intercept, they have the same slope and the same y-intercept, then they are the same line. Okay? So they're not parallel now, they are just the same line. And hopefully that makes sense too. So that would be group C. Same slope, same y-intercept, must be the same line because it's the same equation. Okay, let's take a look at perpendicular lines. Here I have a perpendicular line, and we'll talk about line A and line B. And let's say that line A has a rise of 2 and a run of 1. Well, what we know then is this is a rise of 2 and a run of 1. A perpendicular line creates a 90-degree angle. And what we discover is that it has a fall of 1 and a run of 2. So the slope of this particular line is negative 1/2. So if you don't see a pattern yet, we'll do another one. If A has a slope of 2/3, we now know that the perpendicular line to that has a slope of negative 3/2. Let's see if you can guess this one. If I have a slope of 1/5, then the perpendicular line to it has a slope of negative 5. Now my last example, if my first line has a slope of negative 3/2, then the perpendicular to it has a slope of 2/3. So what is my rule? Well, I find the reciprocal and then I change the sign. So it's a negative reciprocal, and you'll hear me talk about finding the negative reciprocal. So if my slope is a negative number, then its perpendicular line will be a positive number. If the slope is positive, then the perpendicular line will be negative. And then we also need to find the reciprocal. If the numerator is 2, the denominator now becomes 2. If the denominator is 3, now the numerator becomes 3. Or if we just want to say we flip it, that's another way of saying it. So in order to find the perpendicular line, or the slope of a line perpendicular to another line, we find its negative reciprocal. We find the negative inverse of that slope. Well, where's that going to come in handy? Let's take a look at an example here. Here I have a line with a slope of 3 and I have a point of 2, 3. They want me to write an equation for the line that is perpendicular to the first line and goes through point 2, 3. Well, we learned today that if I have a point, if I have a point and I have a slope, then I can write the equation to any line. So the first thing is, what is the slope of this line? Well, we said the slope can be found by finding the negative reciprocal. The reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. Do we have a point? Yes, so now I can just do y minus 3 equals negative 1/3 x minus 2. I can simplify that. Negative 1/3 x plus 2/3 y minus 3. Add 3 to both sides, and it obviously gets a little messy here, but we end up with y equals negative 1/3 x plus, let's see, 3 times 3 is 9, plus 11/3. How could we check that? We can go into our calculator, put y equals negative 1/3 x plus 11/3, and it better go through the point 2, 3. Okay, so here we have one more example. We have y equals negative 5x plus 9, and it wants me to write an equation which is perpendicular to the line, and it passes through the point 5, 1. So first of all, we know that it's perpendicular to this line, so the slope of this line is negative 5x, so the slope of our perpendicular line will be opposite is not negative, it's positive. The reciprocal of 5 is 1/5. It says it goes through point 5, 1, so I can go y minus 1 equals 1/5 x minus 5. Y minus 1 equals 1/5 x minus 1. I can add 1 to both sides. Y equals 1/5 x. And now I can do a quick check to make sure that my equation fits. 1/5 is the negative reciprocal, so I know it's perpendicular. I plug in 5 here. 1/5 of 5 is 1, and my y is 1. My equation is correct. All right, well, I want you to go now and try the post-video quiz. Post-video quiz is located at number 15. We'll have plenty of time to practice in class tomorrow, and I wish you a good evening. Good night.